Already back for part deux on the RX-7. Forget about this one. It's, well, it's already given up vital limbs to donate to this. No, I'm not ripping this one apart yet. I'm just taking the wheels. You'll see why soon. Update, we now have a new diff. Dog likes it, so got one of these type of fabricated ones. There's a couple of types you can buy, standard style pumpkin and things like that. But I wanted a really strong one, something that looked pretty decent, and something that was pretty good on weight-wise as well. So that one ticked all the boxes. I do have some brackets now as well. So these are the diff brackets. They'll slide on just there, obviously. And then I do have the chassis brackets as well. So this is the chassis bracket just here, and let's take a look at that and why it's designed the way it is and why it might look like a bit different than you normally used to seeing. So what we have here are the diff brackets, and this is the chassis bracket. Plenty of adjustment there for me, but you'll notice that most full-length brackets are probably, these holes would normally be here. So it's like, why does this bracket look so bizarre? And the reason for that is if you have a look at Fox body Mustangs, they have a really short upper bar, and it really helps them work the way they do. And then, I mean, if you've seen the amount of Fox body Mustang race cars out there, you know that they work really, really well. And they work really well with lower horsepower, lower prep tracks as well. And guess what we'll be racing with? Well, we've got a two-rotor engine that is low horsepower in the scheme of things. What people call low horsepower these days that are, chassis shops especially setting stuff up, is pretty much everything under, if it's under like 1400 horsepower, it's almost low power these days. There's engines out there, twin turbo V8 stuff and things like that are very capable of making well over 2000 horsepower pretty easily. So the 1000 plus or whatever that we're making, that is classed as low horsepower these days. So this kind of bracketry setup will help with lower prep surface radial stuff, and that with that shorter upper bar will really help us for what we want to do. Okay, so next thing we've done is the Mustaka bar is in. You can see I've cut the other tubs out as well on both sides. Got some hiding holes in there for the forelink. Now, what I wanted was specific look this car in the chassis, and it's just not quite there yet. So you can see there the tire is right up on near, you've got what, an inch or so, less than three-quarters of an inch to the factory tub. So yeah, let's have a chat about that. So building this thing, I have a pretty specific idea around what I want looks-wise. So that had standard tubs. The 626 was standard tubs, and basically where they sit, there's, at ride height, there is basically, I can fit my hand in between the tire and the guard, and I don't want that for this car. I want that really super low, killer race car sort of look where, the rear tire is tucked into the guard. So to get that look, you'll see where the tire is at the moment. We probably want, I probably want another 3 inches. And as you can see, there's not 3 inches there. So essentially I have one option, and that option is I have to cut the tub out completely. So it's not going to be a case of just stretching the factory tub to accommodate a wider tire. I'm having to stretch and then raise the tub to accommodate the ride height, essentially, not so much the tire size and that. The wheel well, like the wheel tub, like the opening from like here to here, is completely fine for like a 28-inch tall tire, and that it's okay. It's not like an RX3 or earlier, like an RX2 or something, where you often see like about a 2-inch or so section where guy doing like chassis work will actually cut here and cut this section out and then place like a 2-inch strip in there, and then to stretch the whole wheel tub to accommodate for the tire. This is fine. So it's use the word easy or basic, but pretty much, I mean, I'm not messing with the external bodywork. I've just got to cut the tub out. Now, I mean, all I've got to do in there is basically get a grinding disc and cut along it, and then I've got 2 options. I can either weld that tub back in higher and then stretch it and then put the factory tub on and then put like a 3-inch extension on the bottom of it, or I could buy brand new tubs, or I could make new tubs from scratch. The other dilemma, and it's not really a dilemma, is the moral dilemma around where sort of the class is heading, the Street 289 class is heading in that. So the cars are starting to get incredibly fast now. And this class was always built on the back of it being factory appearing cars and factory chassis cars. So, you could slightly, the early days, you couldn't even take the wheel tub out, that was against class rules. Extensive chassis modifications against class rules. What I'm doing sort of here, where I've got the entire floor still in, sectioned out area, and all factory floor and everything, that was it basically. So if you wanted to sort of, early days untubbed, couldn't touch a tub at all. Then if you wanted to sort of just elongate the tub to fit a bigger tire, it was okay. Now cars are going faster and faster and faster. And, things like having them sit low and center of gravity and aero and all those affect how you set up the chassis and affect how to make cars go fast. It's why, big tire race cars don't sit, 150 mil off the ground. They sit absolutely at the bare minimum. I think the minimum sort of height you can sit is sort of 3 inches off the ground, so it doesn't trip the beams and things like that. But you look at any a big dollar race car, they're not sitting, 7 inches off the deck sort of thing. So what I'm starting to see now, especially in the class I'm trying to build for Street 289, is the rules say you can fit a tub to accommodate your wheel size, your tire size. So I think the wording of that has been taken to maybe the extreme, but it's been taken to a point where people are just now cutting the rear end out of the cars, leaving a slight bit of chassis rail and just putting massive tubs in the car and going, it's what the rules say. And that's fair enough, because if the rules are not specific around what you can and can't do, but they do say you can do something, then you do it because it's an advantage, and what racer isn't going to want to take an advantage? So for what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to clarify it with Jamboree, who sort of set the rules for the Street 289 class, and that is that, hey, I need the car to sit lower. I got a 28.9. The rule book says I can fit bigger tubs to accommodate the tire size. Am I all good to do this? Because realistically, I can fit the tire just like this. I want to make the car sit even lower for performance reasons and also aesthetic reasons. So is that to the letter of how the rules were designed for this class and that? Probably not. Do I care? Absolutely not. I'm going to do whatever I can do to build a race car to go fastest, and having it sit lower is going to help it go faster. It's just a fact. So definitely going to cut the rear out of that. I think Jamboree is next week, so I'm going to go around to a few of the Street 289 cars out there and just have a look in the rear ends of them. There is a heap of 289 cars that are still exactly how this one sits here, like sitting without major tub modifications, very minor modifications, but there's definitely a couple of cars out there that have a full, what I would call like pro stance to them. So I want to build my car to how those cars are built, because I like the look of how they're built, and they're also the fastest cars out there. So they're the fastest cars out there for Lots of reasons. The chassis is probably one of them. So, yeah, definitely going to have to cut that up. I mean, it looks... No, it doesn't look okay. I don't like it. I wrestled with it for about 30 seconds of just leaving it and going, yeah, it's okay. Nah, no way. No chance. So in this car, normally when it sits at ride height, I can sort of just get like my hand flat like that in between the guard and that. And that is pretty much, you know, when I look at it here, I'm almost doing that here as well. So nah, no thanks. Just means a lot bit more work. And a lot of work sort of that I haven't sort of done before, but it should be doable. So we've got, the bar in. The bar's just, I got a chassis plate sort of down there. I got the bar in, tacked in so then it doesn't move. So when I want to weld these brackets in, I know that it's not moving about and it's just clamped in. It's actually welded in, it's not going to move. And then I'll just cut those welds out so I can weld these brackets with the TIG on the bench, because it's very hard to weld in that car where it is in that position. And then I'll weld these. These will get tack welded on the diff first, because the location of those sort of determines, you know, where they'll sit, because one of them... So obviously in a 9-inch, the pinion doesn't sit in the middle of this diff. It sits slightly offset. So that means this falling bracket, I think out here, because then obviously you have to put the pinion in the middle of the car, which means that the diff sits further over this side. So I think because the car is obviously so narrow, one of the falling brackets is like hard up against here. So I have to basically get the diff, have to trim a bit off it and that based on where those tyres will sit, trim the diff up and then just work out exactly where it all sits, because I won't be cutting out the frame rails. These are the frame rails. That they will still be there, because that's still a major part of the Street 289 rules, that it's like, if I cut those frame rails out, now the car's back aft. That's it. There's no arguments about that. Anyone that's like cutting up the frame rails and reducing them to like a quarter of their size or something, and then running box tube or something alongside it or other strengthening, it's a back aft car. That's a back aft car, and you're just basically trying to cheat the rules essentially. So if you do not have rails in the back of your small tire car, you should be racing modified compact or some other class, in my opinion. So I mean that's the class for back half cars. Street 289 is still meant to be factory appearing cars. So I will have the factory rails in there still, and then we've just got the falling bracket. So you can see we've obviously got the rails running right along there, which means depending on where the diff bracket sits, I'm pretty limited to how far, because you've still obviously got to get a spanner in to work on the falling chassis bolts. So you can't put, you know, the bracket for the chassis right up against the chassis roll, because then you won't be able to bolt anything up to it. So there's got to be enough room to get a spanner in there and a bolt and some thread and stuff. So it's going to be really tight. It'll be okay on this side. It's going to be really tight on that side. But them's the brakes. That's the stuff when you build quite a narrow width sort of car that you come up against. This car's a bit wider, so it wasn't so bad. And then I think once I can get the diff in, should be no worries. The next steps after this, once the diff is in and the tubs are in, I really don't think that'll take too long. I think that'll come along pretty quickly. Probably have the brackets and that this weekend, so, you know, could have this all rolling there. After Jamboree, I don't know if Race Products or whatever will have a stand at Jamboree, but I'll talk to them about floaters for the rear of this thing, and then get that happening. Once I've got sort of floaters, I can sort of tack those in place or whatever. This thing will be rolling in that, and then it really depends on so much of everything to do with this depends on Heathcote Park Raceway and what's happening in that. So, and yes, I have heard people like always say, like in comments saying, oh, this person's bought, that person's bought it. I've been hearing those rumors for like 18 months. So there's no, you're not telling me something I didn't know. Like I've been out at Heathcote, a part of the racing scene pretty closely, follow that closely. So don't think I'm not aware of it. I'm acutely aware of it because obviously it affects me a fair bit. You know, you've got cars that are worth, you know, 6 figures basically, just sitting in a garage doing nothing. Don't worry, I am very invested in what's happening at Victoria's most accessible sort of quarter-mile racetrack. And the comment I always had to people, like, I know it's going to happen. They say it's going to happen, but I don't know when. You don't know when. So until I know when, I've got to just keep on basically forging ahead with this thing and forgetting about that and continually taking off easy parts. So when I say easy parts, I think the next part I'll take off of this car might be getting this one rolling, and then I'll probably put this one on the hoist and take the gearbox out of it. So I'll take the gearbox out of it, I'll take the mid plate out of it, I'll take the center out of the diff, and I'll take the tail shaft out of it, and I'll probably set up this car even further. So then all the cross members are done, all the engine mounting stuff is done, all that work is basically done, because you just don't know. Like, what's the use of just leaving this thing on a trailer and just knowing that, hey, XYZ's buying that truck, it'll be up and running in no time or whatever. What's no time? Tell me, give me a date. You don't know. No one knows the date until the people that are purchasing the truck come out and say, we'll be back to racing here. We don't know. And not only that, there's other things that I don't know about too that no one knows either. Will there be a sanctioning body? Will it run an outlaw? If the sanctioning body if it's going to be sanctioned, who is it? Is it IHRA? Is it ANDRA? So the other issue with that car is, you know, if it's ANDRA, I have to get the car completely teched again to pretty much do one meet, which is, it's money at time. You know, I have to go and take the car to someone to get teched. I have to then wait for the tech to be done. I have to get it all signed. I have to sign up for ANDRA membership or whatever, which will be okay as long as, you know, that'll transfer over to this car, but it's just more money and time and that invested in that car, whereas we literally missed it by like one weekend. It's so frustrating. So, but yeah, is what it is. Can't rewrite history, can't go back in a time machine or whatever. Things happen and they're the circumstances, play the cards you're dealt, and then you get on with it basically. And that's what I'm doing here. I am absolutely getting on with it. So, yeah, I think everyone would agree. Nah, can't have it sit like that. Got to have it a couple inches lower. I'm keen to get around the Jamboree and have a look at people's cars and how they've done everything in terms of tubs and stuff like that, just because I love the Street 289 category and I love all the cars, and I love all the cars that are coming out that are racing incredibly fast. So, you know, if it means that cars now are starting to, you know, put extra bar work in or do some other stuff or cut tubs out of it, I don't really care. The tyres, the determining size and how fast you go, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's slap a 28/9 on your race car, and if you think you're fast enough, go race. So, yeah, I think next episode, hopefully, the diff is in the car. But for now, that's the update. We've got some bars in. We're going to have to cut some tubs out, unfortunately, and we've got more parts on the way. So exciting. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.